In 2009, I attended the wedding of News International chief executive of the ceremony was by like at a country state. I stood next to the presenter Pierce Morgan, while Paul Decker, Daily Mail editor, was few yards away. For Morgan was closer to the action. They became a home Baptist law. Gordon Brown, then Prime Minister, arrived late with all eyes turning to me as we walked down to the lake. At the reception, I had a brief conversation with Mr. Cameron. I said I hoped he would not win the upcoming election, but that if we did and if we wanted to act in political debate and standard, I would support him. For some time, the journalists in me had known that the relationship between politics and the media was not serving the public, but it was my first-hand experience just developing cultural abuse and negativity that convinced me Britain's press and 24-hour news were making it more difficult for elected leader to govern. It's got worse, hasn't it? He said. I replied that he'd be a much stronger prime minister were he to take office, not feeling he owed anything to the big media groups. At that point, Mr. Murdoch joined us and we changed the subject. Perhaps we should not have done so, but that we did, however, illustrated something of the dishonesty at the heart of what is such a political and commercial relationship. It is not easy what Ed Miliband, Labour leader, did last week. Make himself an enemy of some of the media's most powerful forces. He was right that he was right that Labour got too close to News International. But he was also right that given the media bias against him, he knew why we tried to level the playing fields. In my own defense, and as my diary show argued for 7 years with Tony Blair that we needed act on the culture of our media. At one point, he took me up, asking that I not my views obvious in front of Mr. Murdoch, his son James, and Lexington, then chief executive of International. Ultimately, Mr. Blair thought the press had become a problem, but that given all our other priority, people would not understand our taking them on. He also thought that it would look like event for the fact they had turned against it. They had turned against us. He knew why we tried to level the playing field. In my own defense, and as what that shows. Except that he also thought it would look like event for the fact they had turned against it, and there were political consideration too. Trying to govern and win election is hard enough without the press being against you. Except that for all of us, media support was with something we created at the expense of position. Except that for all of us, at least all of us, at times media support was something we created at the expense of position or principle on media issues, but that trap has now been sprung. The latest revelation have forced the police, News International, and the government to act. The police will now be more vigorous. News International will continue with their kamikaze crisis management, which one day will be studied as a textbook case of how not to do it. But the most important development are the Prime Minister to encourage you to press practices and a new system of regulation. These mean we now have once in a generation opportunity for a new settlement between politics, the media, and the public. Nobody can argue that we have the press we deserve. Pressured by technological change, a dominant strain of British media has gone into a spiral of decline, in which this scandal is only the most dramatic development. Only the development. Mr. Cameron did not look comfortable announcing the review. He has personal relationship at stake, and given he hired Andy Carson as his communication director, his judgment too. Already the backlash from part of the press has begun as seek to maintain that anything but two slopes of regulation is an assault on a free press. But Mr. Cameron did not look comfortable announcing the reviews. Announcing the reviews. Not look comfortable announcing the review. Did not look comfortable He has personal relationship at stake, and given he hired Andy Carson as his communication director, his judgment too. Already the backlash from part of press has begun as seek to maintain anything but two slopes of regulation is an assault on the free press. But Mr. Cameron must stand back from all that and ask himself what is the right thing to do. He did some of it last Friday. The judicial inquiry should be far-reaching. The news of the world far from law in the use of dubious and legal practices. As widely ignored report from the Information Commission have shown, Parson British media reminds me of the trade union before Mrs. Thatcher. They feel untouchable. As I say about Labour could and should have done more to deal with the fear beast. But just as the MP's expenses scandal emerged from the failure of Mrs. Thatcher's government to tackle MP salaries, though the system by showered honors and editors on honors, a practice to which you put an end with the rule that no certain editor could be honored. Means you to have something to answer for. Whatever the past, it is Mr. Cameron who must lead the country to a better place. To a better place. To a better place. Mr. Miliband has shown himself capable of playing a good and principled part, and so should the public. Ultimately, political debate will only improve the public wanted to. If they channel the anger with significant internal assessment what kind of they read, whether they really want to live on a diet of celebrity, TV, and negativity and abuse to current affairs, we are all in this together.